Good morning, and welcome to the Cyber Smart Morning News Update. With the always evolving world of cyber threats and defense, you need a source you can trust. FBI retired Special Agent Darren Mott guides you through today's intricate cyber landscape and brings you the latest headlines and insights and what it means to you. Let's dive into today's cyber news.
Good morning, friends. It is Monday, December 30th, 2024. This is the Cyber Smart Morning News Update. I'm your host, retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent Darren Mott. And I have 8 stories today, which means I got a lot of stuff to talk about. So we're going to probably not spend a ton of time on all of them, or we may end up going over 15 minutes. Either way, I apologize on both. But as always, the articles mentioned in this podcast will be listed in the show notes. Plus, as you might be able to tell, I'm suffering from a slight cold, so my voice a little deeper than usual. I'm not turning up the bass on purpose. It's just kind of where it is. And there may be random sneezes that happen here and there. So there's that. So let's get right into it. First is from theregister.com, Jessica Lyons reporting. It's only a matter of time before LLMs jumpstart supply chain attacks. Now that criminals have realized there's no need to train their own large language models for any nefarious purposes, it's much cheaper and easier to steal credentials and then jailbreak existing ones. The threat of a large-scale supply chain attack using generative AI becomes more real. And this is probably the biggest concern, really, for most businesses when it comes to LLMs and AI and stuff like that, is risk to the supply chain. So now we're not talking about a fully AI-generated attack from the initial access to the business operation shutdown. Technologically, criminals aren't there yet. But one thing LLMs are very good at is assisting in social engineering campaigns. And really, that's the key thing, is the use of these large language models to generate better social engineering items, emails, things like that. Because let's be honest, we're talking 25 years of me doing this. Social engineering is still the number one way bad guys are getting in. AI doesn't mean that it's going to be AI attacks. It's going to be a use of AI to manufacture better spearfish emails and better things like that. So, there's a little more to this article if you want to take a look at it. I'm not spending a ton of time here, but one of the things this article says is 2025 going to be the year of LLM phishing? It says in 2025, the greatest concern is with spear phishing and social engineering. There's endless ways to get access to an LLM, and they can use this generated AI to craft unique tailored messages to the individuals that they're targeting based on who your employer is, your shopping preferences, the bank you use, and the region that you live in, restaurants and things like that. So think about all the data that's been stolen over the course of the last several years from ransomware attacks, extortion, data leaks, all that kind of stuff. And now you can use AI to very quickly craft social engineering and email examples to send to people targeted who are more likely to, bad people open them already. I say in presentations all the time, the reason bad guys win is because someone always clicks a link. Well, if the social engineering attempt is targeted directly at you and it looks unbelievably realistic, then you're probably going to click the link. So that's probably a good point of where all of this is going to go. So one of the examples here is Change Healthcare ransomware attack. It said there was no actually, I take that back. Forget that part. I'm sorry. I was reading ahead and I kind of misread what it said. But anyway, the point here being, as I said in my book, think before you click. Take some time to look at emails that you don't expect and make sure you're not clicking on something that's going to cause you to do bad things. So again, the threat of AI is not like, it's going to kill us all. The threat is it's going to make social engineering much better and quicker, and that's going to be the problem. All right, cybernews.com, Ernesto Napper is reporting, Clop ransomware hits over 60 companies using the Clio platform. In a new announcement, the Clop operator published a list consisting of 63 partially concealed company names. Blue Yonder, a major supply chain company, was the only one fully disclosed victim at the time of the writing of this article. Clop is threatening to publish the entire set of companies that ignore the demands by Monday, December 30th, that's today. If these companies do not pay up, then they're going to be disclosed as being compromised. And what they say is, we have data of many companies who use Clio. Our teams are researching and calling your company and providing your special secret chat, the criminals posted. The list appears to include some major companies as suggested by the listing: West E, and then a bunch of hashtags, Hertz, Tom something. However, positive identification remains impossible due to the redacted name. Bleeping Computer reports that Klopp originally listed 66 companies that did not engage in negotiations. So, two recently discovered vulnerabilities, CVEs 50623 and 55956, have a severity rating of 9 out of 8 out of 10. The flaws affect unpatched versions of Clio Harmony, which is an enterprise backup and recovery software, VL Trader, and Lexcom, which does secure file transfer and data integration software solutions. So companies that are using this have a big problem. And chances are they're really targeting the ones that have money. So 2025 is going to start off with a big bang when all of these companies have their data or have it come out that they have been victimized. So look for that in the future. Darkreading.com, emerging threats and vulnerabilities to prepare for in 2025. Everybody's doing these kind of lists. You're not going to be able to throw a dead cat without finding someone saying, hey, here's what to look for in 2025. And chances are most of them will be not really emerging threats. They'll be kind of the same threats, just kind of repackaged in a new way. And I'm not going to do my top threats for the year because you can pretty much point to the same thing year in, year out. And ransomware, business email compromise, it's not really going to be anything really big, but it's going to be the same stuff over and over again. But so in this report, this is from Dark Reading, Christina Beek reporting. Here's what she lists. I'm not going to explain what they are. I'm just going to say what they have listed here and then maybe make a point. 0-day exploits. Is that really an emerging threat? Now, the 0-day itself, whatever the 0-day is an emerging threat because it's a new vulnerability. So I get that, but 0-day threats have been around since the internet began. This is not an emerging threat. It's just the 0 days that exist, that are found or come up are going to be new. So maybe what they're saying here is that they'll start to use more of them. Okay, they've been using them for years. It's not really new. Supply chain attacks, not really emerging. Again, not really emerging. Been around for a while. Keeps going. I mean, move it a couple of years ago. That's not really new. Supply chain attacks, not a new thing. Remote work infrastructure exploits. Pretty sure that's been around since COVID in 2020. So that's not exactly new 5 years later. Exploitation of AI and machine learning systems. Well, we just talked about that. It's not really going to be exploited necessarily for a lot of bad stuff. It's just going to make social engineering much more convenient for bad guys. Cloud misconfigurations. Again, the cloud per se, using someone else's server has been around a long time. Are they now just being misconfigured? IoT device vulnerabilities. Been saying this for years as well. Cryptographic weaknesses, okay. API security gaps, sure, that one's kind of a couple years old. But again, none of these are really new and emerging threats. So I say all this just to make the note. Avoid all of these. Avoid all of these articles if you can. So I'm saving you time. You can kind of skip on these articles about the emerging threats because we're not really going to know until they happen. And they're going to be the same stuff that's been going on year in and year out. Cyberscoop.com, Greg Otto, from the White House. Salt typhoon hacks possible because telecoms lacked basic security measures. Well, I'm sorry, and I don't normally curse on this particular podcast, but no shit, Sherlock. Is this really a surprise that this is why this happened? I mean, my goodness. Okay. The White House said Friday that the U.S. government continues to assess the damage caused by the Salt typhoon hacks. The breach occurred in large part due to telecommunications company failing to implement rudimentary cybersecurity measures across their IT infrastructure. Let's be honest, folks. It's not just telecommunications. It is every industry has this problem with most of their companies. There are companies that do it right, and you never hear about Google getting compromised. I mean, you hear about Microsoft a lot. You don't hear a lot about Google. Google uses zero trust, according to my friend Dr. Chase Cunningham, and so they do it well. So they're one of the examples. So whatever they're doing is right. But again, they have money to do it all they want. But my point of this article is, let's not kid ourselves that it's just telecommunications that has this problem. Now, let's more from this article. Ann Neuberger, the White House's deputy national security advisor for cyber and emerging technology, told reporters Friday that the Biden administration has further zeroed in on how these companies can improve their cybersecurity, particularly by sharing threat hunting guides and instructions for hardening their systems. These guides, shared with telecom companies, have unearthed a new victim, bringing the total of affected companies to 9. All right. Where can we find this particular information? I'd love to see this guide. Now, nowhere in this article do I see a link to whatever this guide is. So are they not sharing it with the world? They're just sharing it with other telecommunications companies. This is the problem. This is the problem altogether, is that we talk about wanting to share information, yet the information never effing get shared. Okay, now this one apparently, now it was not shared in time for the 9th victim not to become a victim, unless they already were, but okay, whatever. But, let's get the government out of all of this. Government can enable and incentivize companies to do the right thing. But the one thing we don't need is regulations to fix all this, because that is going to go nowhere soon. So it'll be interesting to see how the new administration does this. My guess is it will be less than impressive, and I will be cursing them out just as badly. But, again, another article that just screams, duh. Okay, hackers steal Zag customer credit cards in a third-party breach. Bill Tolis from Bleeping Computer. Zag Incorporated is informing customers that their credit card data has been exposed to unauthorized individuals after hackers compromised a third-party application provided by the company's e-commerce provider, BigCommerce. Zag is a consumer electronics accessory maker known for its mobile accessories such as screen protectors, phone cases, keyboards, power banks, and so on. The Utah-based company has an annual revenue of $600 million, but clearly could not find the right third-party application provider to secure their crap, but okay. According to a letter sent, that last part was me adding on. According to a letter sent to impacted individuals, the attacker breached the Fresh Clips app provided by BigCommerce and injected malicious code that stole shoppers' card information. So if you're a Zag user, you have a Zag account, and pretty much count on your credit card having been compromised. Go close it. Do all the stuff that you have to do, because your information is now out there. Bad guys are using it and will continue to use it. Don't believe that even if the good guys pay the ransom, that will be deleted. But again, Zag customers, your stuff's been stolen. Look for a letter coming your way. On more bad news, this is Ionet Elascu from bleepingcomputer.com. Customer data from 800,000 electric cars and owners exposed online. Volkswagen automotive software company Cariad exposed data collected from around 800,000 electric cars. The info could be linked to drivers' names and reveal precise vehicle locations. Terabytes of Volkswagen customer details in Amazon cloud storage remained unprotected for months, allowing anyone with a little technical knowledge to track drivers' movement and gather personal information. The exposed databases include details for Volkswagen, Seat, Audi, and Skoda vehicles, with geolocation data for some of them being as precise as a few centimeters. So this is poor security by Volkswagen to not be able to, there's no third party here. This is Volkswagen did not technically secure their data. This is human error. And this is a lot of the problem too, is human error. But you would like to think that Volkswagen, which probably makes quite a bit of money year in and year out, or Cariad, or whatever this particular group is, could have protected it. Now it does say, based on the results of an investigation, Cariad has no evidence suggesting that other parties, except for CCC hackers, had access to the exposed vehicle data or the information that had misused by a third party. So one hacking group found it, but the rest didn't. And I'm sure that this group that hacked it, CCC hackers, probably not sharing it with anyone or not offering it for sale. I'm sure they're not doing that. So what's the problem? But again, big companies can't do the right things. That makes it hard for the small mom and pop. So again, if you're a small company, a medium-sized company, find someone to help you. There are plenty of us in this space that are trying to help people secure their stuff. You just got to ask, and maybe they can do that. But again, so if you're one of those car owners, your data has been stolen. Lastly, 5 critical infrastructure sectors hit hardest by cyber attacks in 2024. This is Steve Zurier from SC Media. Critical infrastructure impacts just about everything we depend on for daily living: the cars we drive, the water we drink, the air we breathe, the food we eat. Not long after the 2021 Colonial Pipeline attack, which led to widespread fuel shortages for several days, President Joe Biden issued an executive order on cybersecurity, and we all know how well that has worked up to this point. The next year, he created the Critical Infrastructure Security and Resilience Month. Okay, he created a month. Great, super. That did fantastic stuff. Whatever. There's more to this that I'm not gonna bag on the administration. Do that enough as it is. But the problem is, here are the 5 industries that were hardest hit by cyber attacks in 2024. Manufacturing. Sustains the most cyber attacks of any critical infrastructure. Typically, manufacturing accounts for close to 25% of all cyber attacks in any given year. Again, because they're not protecting their systems. Financial services, not a surprise. That's where the money is. So bad guys are going to always go after financial sectors. Now, financial services, I'll be honest, this is anywhere from banks to mortgage companies to all that stuff. They have money to protect themselves. Clearly, they don't do enough of it because they're number 2. Number 3, energy and utilities. The energy and utilities sector continued to sustain roughly 11% of cyber attacks, according to IBM Security. One of the largest utility attacks in 2024 was on oil services giant Halliburton, which reported $35 million in losses as a result of a cyber attack. So, again, another industry that makes a lot of money and gets compromised. And then there's retail and healthcare, not surprising, brings up the fifth one because we've certainly seen those ransomware attacks against healthcare organizations. So, there you go. I'm running out of time. I'm going to keep this under 15 minutes. I'm not going to play my outro. I'm just going to let you know that if you have thoughts, comments, suggestions, feel free to email me, Darren@thecyberguy.com. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday. Have a happy new year. We'll be back again later in the week.